Melanie Traylor, and today I'm showing you my finished, well, flimsy anyway, or quilt top, finished garden therapy quilt. Let me hold it up. Okay. It is so big, 90 by 90 inches square. Oh, but there she is. I am so excited to have this one done. Okay, I'm going to just show you a couple of pictures or videos about the quilt top. So Inner Beauty measures 90 by 90 inches. So big. I think it's the biggest pattern I've ever written. It's definitely the biggest sampler quilt I've ever written. And when I wrote it, I was just trying to add larger quilts to what I offer. It's actually a much quicker quilt to make than I made it look like. On my first one, I whipped it out. But this one, I've been working on it since, I want to say the first week or the second week of January. So I've kind of just drug the whole thing out. All the blocks are strip pieced. So they're made to save you time and fabric. I think the only one that's not strip pieced is the Sawtooth Star. The rest of them are all strip pieced, and it's a trip around the world quilt, right? But also a sampler. And I don't know, the blocks are simpler. So when you take on the quilt, you're really taking on the size, not the actual quilt is not that difficult. It's just more, right? But I have, this version is in my Garden Therapy collection. Garden Therapy came out just this past December 2022. And we have kits coming back at the early April. So all the kits for Garden Therapy are going to be arriving then, including this exact version that I've made. I'm giving this one to my daughter. She has been waiting on this quilt for like forever. So I'm so excited to at least have the hardest part done, or hopefully it's the hardest part, and then move on to some of those easier tasks. I've got to get it quilted. I have a very simple idea in mind for this one. Unlike my original Inner Beauty quilt, on this one I would like to keep the quilting simple. And I think the only time I'm going to get wild and free is on some of the blocks that don't have piecing. Let me show you. So my idea is to stitch in the ditch on everything, and then, you know, occasionally do a little bit more than stitch in the ditch, but stitch in the ditch for the most part, and then I'll get wild and free in these blocks that aren't pieced, or these squares right here. So I will do my usual playtime with maybe feathers, maybe swirls, things like that, but like just keep it simple on these pieced blocks. That's what I'm thinking. I'm hoping that it goes a little quicker than the last version. Here is that pattern for Inner Beauty, and that is my original quilt that I made, and this one was in my Wholehearted fabrics. And I know you can't see on this picture, but I went all out on the quilting of this one. I got creative and just really went for it. But I don't think that it adds so much to it that this one won't be just as great of a quilt, but just a little bit less quilting. So that's my plan. I still need to come up with binding and backing. I wanted to use a wide back, but I really don't think that I have anything that would work. I do have a lot of Garden Therapy left though, so I might end up just piecing something with some of those other fabrics. I thought we'd take a look and see what I got. Okay, so in my head, I was thinking if I found a wide back that matched, you know, I could obviously just cut one giant piece. I love working with wide backs when I can, because, you know, it just takes out all the piecing for the back. In my patterns, in my maybe the last year's worth of patterns, I always include these scrappy backing pages. So in this pattern, it tells you, you know, if you wanted to make this with a whole bunch of different fabrics, it tells you how much you would need of the full amount of this piece is 2 3/4 yards. And it tells you what to cut it, you know, to get it all pieced. So I'm thinking if I if I might do one more look about my wide backs, but if not, I'll probably just do piece it the exact way this is showing me how to do. Plus I can use up some of my scraps that I have for at least that section. Maybe, let's see how big that is, 14. I might have some pieces already that could work for this too, and then just cut these from the bolt. But I thought I'd look at the bolts with you and bring them over here just to see what I could use, because I'll have to cut those 2 3/4 yard pieces. There's two 2 3/4 yards if I want to use the scrappy backing in the book. And only 12 fabrics of Garden Therapy are actually used in this quilt. So I don't know about you, but I always like to not use something on the back of the quilt that I used on the front. So like I wouldn't want to use this. I mean, I can use it, but I always prefer to use something that's not on the front. So I've only used the 12. There's 20 pieces in Garden Therapy, and we have a handful of them left. So I know for sure that I didn't use this on the back. That might be enough. I might end up taking it all, but Garden Therapy is coming back in stock in April. So we'll have more than what I'm showing here. This is all we have left from our December shipment. But I could use this one. I like it because, you know, it's a big floral and it'll show off the floral print. And like I said, I didn't use it on the front. So I'm thinking I could use this one. I don't think I used this one either. This is one of my favorite fabrics from Garden Therapy. So I could piece that backing. Let's see. I could use the dark green here and then the creamy print here, and then just find these pieces in my stash. I have a decent amount of Garden Therapy in stash, which would work for these middle pieces, but I don't know. I'm thinking that's good. That would work. And then I need to find binding. Let's go back in here. Okay, so I would like to use, honestly, I would like to use this for the binding, but I think the leaves might be just a smidgen big. I tend to like to use really small small prints for the binding. I also want to think about the fact that this is not, I mean, this is a blender, but it's kind of a busier blender, and I want to chunky hand stitch that binding. So I kind of want to use something where that would show off. So I might even just come over here to the solids and pick out a solid that might go with this quilt. And this one is jumping out at me. This is Kona Seafoam. And then also this Atosi Walnut from Art Gallery is jumping out at me because I think it looks really, really similar to that brown fabric over there that I just showed you. So let me take these to the quilt and just see. All right, I don't think I used that brown fabric in this quilt at all, but you can see it has spots on the quilt where that color comes through, and that is definitely that color. And I think there's a couple more maybe in this floral print here, but this for binding could work. And then I can either use, I don't know. The seam foam might work better. I think this, the seam foam is going to blend really nicely. Where it's like, you know how either you want your quilt, your binding to frame up your quilt, or you want it to blend in. Maybe that would be a better situation. And then I can either use a dark green for my chunky stitch, or I can use something similar to that color, like a tan, or I can even use a coral or a dark green. Did I say that already? So I could probably work something out there. So there's still lots to decide. I'm probably going to go with this for that binding though, instead of because now that I put it up here, I don't really care for it. All right, so what's next is to piece my backing, cut my batting, baste, quilt, and bind. Easy peasy, right? It will probably take me at minimum 2 weeks, at the most a month if I work on it steadily, which is the plan. So that's the goal right there. Okay, so that's the plan. I just need to do it. There's something about getting a quilt top done where you kind of want to just sit on it for a little while, but my daughter is waiting on this quilt, so I really need to actually step up and get it done. If you don't have a copy of Inner Beauty quilt pattern yet, you can buy it in PDF or this little booklet, and it's over at meanderandmake.com. Also, coming soon, like within the next 2 weeks, is the Inner Beauty quilt class. So I've recorded a class the whole time I've been making this, where we make the quilt top together. So I've got the quilt done. So I've just got to put the finishing touches on the class. I will link to this class and the pattern below. If you take the class, it comes with the PDF pattern, so you wouldn't actually need to buy a separate version of it unless you wanted to. But the class will come with the PDF version. And in this class, we choose fabrics and then cut fabrics and then make the quilt together. There is no part of making this quilt top that is not covered in this class. So if you need help with your cutting, if you need help with fabrics, deciding which fabrics, all of that is included in the class. So if you are a beginner but you feel like you need a little extra helping hand, it's there for you if you want it. It's already available for pre-order, but it should release in, I want to say, about 2 weeks at the most, about 2 weeks, because it's completely done. I've just got to put a few touches on it. So I think that's all. Wish me luck on the quilting this big quilt. Oh my goodness. I will see you next time.